Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Well, what an eventful week it's been, a sea of red across the board apart from Ripple, and I want to talk about why that may be, as well as a couple of big ticket news items that the market has overlooked this week. So before we get into it, just a reminder, we are heading to Sydney this week. Hope to see plenty of you there on Tuesday night at our Security Tokens event. On this day in crypto history, well, it's only been a year since Bitcoin fell over $2,000 in just a few days on fears about SegWit 2x and that hard fork. Now, if you've been through these sort of things, you're experienced, you kind of understand what's going on. I think that's very important and why I focus on education, because you're less likely to panic if you completely understand what's going on around you. It's been 2 years since India banned those high denomination notes, and that's a theme we're going to see continue to play out as governments pushes towards this cashless society. Microsoft has been using Ethereum for 3 years now, and they're continue to roll out support on their cloud-based products as well, which is great to see these days. And the final thing I want to mention here is 80 years since Albert Hofmann first synthesized LSD. Now, speaking of LSD and MDMA, Dr. Prash from Caleb and Brown, who most of you know, is a doctor in psych medicine. Now, last night he won this award, the Young Executive, at the Business Awards Indian Executive Club. But I'm going to continue to get him on the channel to talk about this research. He's a big advocate of pushing LSD, mushrooms, MDMA for all these different clinical trials. So that's great to see. It certainly fascinates me with my pharmacy background. Our real estate video this week, 15,000 views in 7 days. So thanks to everyone that watched and shared that around. We're going to continue to talk about that housing market. I want to make a micro documentary for the channel. But this week we got out more data that New South Wales has seen people leave the state, and that's where property prices are most expensive. So not only that, we also got data that birth rates are really at multi-year lows, and this is the demographic shift of people that are having less children, having them later in life. You know, it's very financially difficult to raise a family of 3 or 4 or 5 kids as people were doing, a generation or two ago. So this all plays into this theme about the Australian economy and housing. And we've seen it in other countries now where governments have coming out with ad campaigns. So if you want to laugh, check out these Do It for Denmark videos where governments are encouraging young people to hook up and have children, essentially, because there the birth rate is at 27-year lows. From Denmark to Switzerland now, guys, where the world's first crypto ETF is going to be listed next week. Now, this is the first item that I want to talk about that I think has completely snuck under the radar. In terms of what they're listing, they have said that they're going to use Bitcoin Cash ABC version as what they're going to be including in their investment product. But well done to obviously Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, and Litecoin as well, getting some weightings in there if you want to check out the details. Next thing I want to talk about is Maker DAI, and at the moment we have 1% of all Ethereum locked up in their smart contracts. Now you've got to lock up that Ethereum to mint the DAI stablecoin so that we know that it's always over collateralized. Plenty of you are big fans of Maker. I've been talking about this one since it was $30, but I think everyone's got this bearish case for Ethereum. ICO is going to continue to dump and so on, but the bullish case is that good projects start to roll out their working product, and Ethereum is, that oil of the system, or literally the gas of the system, as we build out this new Web 3.0. Check out Maker, currently 76 million DAI out there in existence. Check out that tutorial I did. This is very easy to use to mint DAI and to take out loans. Good news this week, 0x launched their very easy to use plugin kit. So anyone can become a relayer and start to add liquidity to all the decentralized exchanges and apps that are built on top of that 0x base layer protocol. Good news out of BAT this week as we see their new speed reader update. So radical performance gains, 20 times faster, using less bandwidth and downloads, memory reduction and so on. So guys, I've never looked back since making the switch to the Brave browser. I highly recommend you try it. It'll save you time, get rid of all your ads and so on. Ethereum GPU mining profitability has declined dramatically. So this is a theme that is starting to affect even the major markets. Someone like Nvidia, that's a big producer of these, missed on their earnings and lose 23 million on their market cap. So GPUs were, very hot when everyone wanted to buy them to mine all these different cryptocurrencies. I want to talk about this towards the end of the video as well, but it's very much affecting Main Street, this downturn that we've seen across markets. But again, I want to paint a bullish scenario where I think going forward, we're only going to be using more technology and more graphics cards, more chips in our life. So if we do get a big stock market correction, we've already had a pretty decent pullback. I'll be looking to buy some of my favorite stocks, or sell puts in terms of AMD, Nvidia, and those sort of stocks. So again, trying to build a thesis, invest on it, use options, and really gain profitability by understanding what's going on where everyone's getting overly bearish. Now, the second announcement that's stuck under the radar, if you go to custody.coinbase.com, this is their digital asset suite for institutions, and they've added a little meter here, a little display for supported assets, and you'll notice that it's got Ripple and OmiseGo. So a couple of my favorites. I have said all along that I think OmiseGo is one that is sneaking under the radar, that they haven't necessarily said they're thinking about adding, and a little bit surprised. I always thought they'd wait for more clarity around whether or not Ripple gets the all clear in terms of being a security, but who knows? Maybe they've got the green light to list it, even if it is a security. But keep an eye on these two guys. Ripple's already started to perform well, but OmiseGo hasn't. So these are the ones that I'm looking to play, to trade, where the market hasn't priced it in already. OmiseGo also had some good news this week, partnering with hailing app. I think it's pronounced Tata. Where are we, guys? Yeah, Tata. So an app, possible 100,000 users. We want to see real businesses adopting this technology. And guys, I don't like to speculate here, but I have heard rumors from a couple of people now saying that Microsoft and OmiseGo are in some pretty, advanced talks to also partner up, and that'd just be huge for OmiseGo, one of my favorite projects going forward. So out of the US again this week, the SEC is starting to crack down on certain ICOs. So this affected Paragon and Air Token. I know a lot of people are scared about what's going on. We've heard rumors that Salt are going to get cracked down on as well, but if we look at the outcome, they basically got slap on the wrist. $250,000 is not really that big a deal for these companies that raised millions and millions of dollars. So in the end, they might have to refund even investors, which is probably a win for you. They get a slap on the wrist. So look, the SEC, they're taking a light-handed approach. If they really came down and completely ended all these projects, I think that would be a really bad press, really bad rap for America and innovation. So I actually think that they want to be taken seriously, but taking a light touch. So let's see how this continues to play out. On to the major news story of the week. So the Bitcoin Cash hard fork. And there's still a lot of people that don't understand what's going on. And that's very, very understandable. But this website, cash.coin.dance, it shows you the comparison of hash rates for the ABC and Satoshi's Vision networks, but also the combined proof of work. So a lot of people saying it's the longest chain is the winner, but it is the most combined proof of work. And what does that mean? In a nutshell, if I start a Bitcoin blockchain, a hard fork of or a clone of the code, if it's only a couple of people mining, the difficulty is very low. So I could quickly add lots and lots of blocks if it's not that difficult to mine. So it takes into account difficulty as well as the number of blocks for cumulative most proof of work. Now, just because there's more proof of work doesn't necessarily mean it's the winner. And that's what is complicating this so much, that some exchanges, are waiting to see which one does have the longest chain, the most used network. Others have just said, look, we're just going to call them ABC and SV. Bitfinex has taken a different approach and called them BAB and BSV. So much complication going on. I just think it's not helping anyone. It's not good for the space, but I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. In terms of the two that are mining each different chain now, they are mining at a loss. So as we see here, we see these numbers getting thrown around. They're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's also compared to how much money they could be making if they were mining Bitcoin. So nobody really wins here. This is what the hash wars are all about. Seeing who can, this is a standoff. Who's going to back out first? They're both losing money. They both believe that they are the true Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash. This is just so complicated. I do feel sorry for anyone that's coming into the space at the moment. Next thing I want to show you is a few of these really cool websites. So you can see the number of nodes that are running the different implementations here, Hash Wars with our Star Wars characters. But this is another great website that I found. So txstreet.com. What this shows us is all these different transactions that are coming in. We have bigger transactions as well as smaller transactions. People that are paid a higher fee, moving faster. So this is a visual representation of people sending transactions and they're waiting to catch a bus, which is a block that gets mined every 10 minutes. So roughly every 10 minutes we should have a bus leave. Now, sending SegWit transactions strips out that witness data, so the actual transaction that gets included in the block is a lot smaller. So really cool stuff. Check this website out if you haven't already. Both networks are running a bit slower than 10 minutes at the moment though, because miners have been taken off Bitcoin onto Bitcoin Cash as we see those hash wars playing out. And Bitcoin Cash, now it's split, the difficulty, it's a bit higher, and they're also not mining blocks every 10 minutes. But this afternoon was the stress test, and this was flooded with transactions. Each bus represents 1 megabyte, and we had very big, in terms of transaction size, blocks for the stress test where a lot of buses were leaving. Now, at the moment that's stopped. We see very, very few transactions per second actually going on that network currently as well. So keep an eye on this. This is a good little reference, particularly when those stress tests are on. I'm not sure what's going on. I thought this stress test was running for 24 hours and it has really dropped off here as well. So I'll do a whole episode dedicated to this going forward, because it is a really great tool. On to the situation. Now, by understanding what's going on, guys, there's going to be continually opportunities to make money. So last week I did say that I believe that the SV camp is going to gain ground in terms of the amount of hash power, and it's likely to rise to parity with the price of ABC. Now, that trade played out fantastically well from $100 to over $200. Now, how many of you are sort of sitting there hodling and continue to watch your portfolio going down? And it was really encouraging this week for me to get messages like this about, hey, I'm finally understanding what's going on. I'm finally learning to trade and short and make money on the way down. That trade we made 100%. Where else have you doubled your money this week while everyone else is losing money? So I love getting these messages. We have over 1,400 people in our group now. It's continuing to grow in a time when markets are down, everyone's negative on their sentiment. We have a fantastic group of people that are learning to trade, learning about stocks, learning about how the world of finance all works, and understanding what is going on in the crypto world, because it's going to continually be important going forward when we see things like the next segment I want to talk about now. So Sharkpool have come out and said that they're going to mine empty blocks and basically try and destroy all altcoins. And here you can see he can sign up early. So basically they're going to mine blocks. Watch the video I've done about 51% attacks and the longest chain rule. But by dedicating your resource, whether it's to the Bitcoin algorithm or other coins using different algorithms, effectively they're going to target coins. They have a Telegram group here and they're talking about maybe targeting Litecoin or Bitcoin Gold, whatever it is. But they want to try and take down everything else, everything they mine. They're going to send to exchanges and dump and destroy and use the profits to buy Bitcoin Cash. Now, I just don't know how this is good and helping anyone, saying you openly want to destroy other coins. So I don't think this is a huge group of people. I don't think they're going to outweigh a community like Litecoin that I've said before has been around for years, is very strong. There's lots of miners in there. I just don't see how they could get enough hash rate to destroy something like Litecoin. And if you've got a really tiny coin that uses proof of work, I think you have to be mindful. But this is also maybe why we're seeing some weird trading action on coins like Bitcoin Gold and Vertcoin and these GPU coins, which people are viewing as maybe a bit safer, but they're a little bit harder to target. They can't be mined with these ASIC mining rigs and so on. So this is all people hedging their bets on what they think is going to happen, what coins are going to get attacked first. I really don't think this is anything to worry about for the time being, but I'll certainly keep an eye on it and keep you guys up to date. Next up here, we've got Andreas Antonopoulos. So he's mainly stayed out of all this. He's probably the most mature figure in the space. And he commented, look, this Satoshi account has since been blocked by Twitter. I'm almost certain that it was Craig Wright. A lot of people have said this as well, that somehow got a hold of this account. It's only a year or two old, so I'm not really sure what to make of this, why he was even coming out and tweeting and pretending to be Satoshi. But, every time he is tweeting at the moment, he is basically embarrassing himself. Now, the flip side of this is one of the tweets I put out here, someone like How Finney, a lot of people maybe think was Satoshi or worked with that group of initial people. And, read this post and my tweet if you haven't already. He was a fantastic human being. But we have people on the Bitcoin Cash Camp side, someone like George, who I actually really respect, sort of saying, you'll see. And a lot of these Bitcoin Cash guys that are followers of Craig genuinely believe that he is Satoshi, or that we're going to have news items come out that shock the market and people go, oh, wow, he did work with Satoshi or something like that. So, look, it's very hard to put all your emotions aside and try and decide what the truth is, but the way that Craig's carried on this week, some of the names he's calling people on Twitter, I think he called Eamon a Mayo guzzler and stuff like this, guy's so childish, so immature. Is he trying to stand out? We've had great leaders in the past that have been pretty outlandish in their thought process and action. So, look, it remains to be seen. Make sure you let me know what you think's going on in the comments below at the end of this video. Let's talk about this price action. Now, with Tether straying away from $1, we do see this sell-off best on Coinbase and other exchanges. This descending triangle that everyone's been talking about. We lost those levels, the huge volume, a big sell-off. But I've got all my charting set up on Bitfinex, as I know a lot of you have. So where are we looking now that we've lost these levels? Now, support can become resistance. Let's see if we get up to this level here and have a run. But really, this is not the V-shaped recovery that a lot of people were hoping for. So with a big sell-off, as we've seen in the past, we want volume to come in and really recover quickly. And that hasn't happened. So a lot of people are now waiting to see what comes of these hash wars. So in theory, this shouldn't affect Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other coins at all. But what have you heard me say 100 times? That sentiment is what drives markets. And at the moment, newcomers are scared. They don't understand what's happening. They're reading headlines about all altcoins and Bitcoin being destroyed by these other bad actors and so on. So until that resolves itself, I don't see a lot of strength coming in unless we get the market completely sideswiped by a good announcement like Backed coming online. We have to continually be cautious because a lot of these traders out there are telling all their followers that we're going to, 3,000, 1,300 and lower. And I don't think we're going down that low. I don't think we're really going to see a weekly close below 5,000, as I've said a number of times. If we zoom out here, guys, this really long-term trend line, depending on where you draw it, comes in at around $5,000. We've got psychological support there. If we lose that level, we're looking further down to previous highs. Again, 5,000 coming into play there. The next level under that is this level that a lot of people are talking about here, right down near 3,000. So, look, they're very bearish scenarios. I think we'd actually have to get more really disastrous news, or the newcomers get completely scared and panicked by headlines. So make sure you understand what's going on. Don't panic now. Some of these altcoins are at ridiculous, 99, 95% down from their all-time highs. I don't see how a lot of them can go lower unless they're the bad projects that are going to go to zero. So good projects that have natural utility and demand for their coin are going to perform well. At some stage, the market will turn around. Markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So don't trade on margin. Be sensible. But this is in some ways good that we're out of this trading range. People are now waiting to buy the next dip and so on. A bit of action, a bit of volume. This panic, in a lot of ways, it is just people being unreasonable. So hang in there, guys. I want to talk about the game and how it's played. And we had futures expire last week. A lot of people think markets get pushed around into expiry. We had those headlines scaring people. Just keep in mind that back's around the corner, and this is how the game is played. Or I've told you about the scenario of the bully in the schoolyard holding you upside down and shaking you, wanting to buy all your coins at or near the lows, and then we see that cycle and when it starts to run, and people tend to jump in at the worst possible time at the top. Ron Paul tweeted this week, what would you do with $10,000 if you had to hold it for 10 years? Look at these numbers. 50% of people want Bitcoin, and people on these anti-dollar assets, people don't want to have anything to do with the Federal Reserve or the US government. And this is a pretty decent sized sample, 100,000 people. So there's demand out there, guys. People believe in this stuff. It's a really a religion for some people. I know if you're watching this video, you're probably a big believer in this space. But Bitcoin has faced great adversity in the past, and it's won every time. So look, the market and the community has really stepped up, with people sort of ignoring Craig, blocking him on Twitter, whatever it is. If he is Satoshi, sign that Genesis block, prove to the market, and do away with all this nonsense. So look, I don't think he is. True decentralization, thousands of nodes around the world, thousands of businesses, millions of individuals using cryptocurrency, don't care for ego, authority, dictators, and greed. So I want to leave you on that note, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, share these videos around, and thanks for tuning in. Cheers.